You brought the wrong child home. I watched my son, Alex, playing near the edge of the woods behind our house. The sun was setting, painting the trees in long, jagged shadows. He laughed as he chased fireflies, their tiny lights flickering like distant stars. I turned away for just a moment, just to grab my coffee, and when I looked back, he was gone. At first, I wasn't worried. Kids wander. But when I called his name and heard nothing but silence, my chest tightened. The woods were too quiet. No birds, no rustling leaves. Just an eerie, unnatural stillness. By nightfall, the police were there, their flashlights cutting through the dark. Neighbors joined the search, shouting Alex's name into the void. But the forest swallowed every sound. 3 days passed. 3 sleepless nights. My wife, Sarah, barely spoke, her eyes hollow with fear. Then, on the 4th morning, a miracle. Alex was found. He was standing in the middle of a clearing, unharmed, staring blankly at the trees. I ran to him, my heart pounding, but when I pulled him into my arms, his body was stiff, cold, and when he looked up at me, his smile didn't reach his eyes. Something was wrong. Alex didn't speak on the ride home. He sat in the back seat, his small hands folded neatly in his lap, staring out the window with an unsettling calm. Sarah tried to talk to him, but he didn't respond, just kept staring as if he didn't recognize the world outside. At home, he walked straight to his room without a word. Sarah and I exchanged uneasy glances. Maybe he's in shock, I whispered. But later that night, when I checked on him, I found him standing in the middle of his room, facing the wall, not moving, not breathing. Then slowly, his head turned toward me. His eyes were too dark. "Daddy," he whispered, "I'm hungry." Alex refused to eat his favorite foods. He pushed away his mac and cheese, his chicken nuggets, even his beloved chocolate milk. Instead, he asked for things he'd never liked before: raw vegetables, rare meat, things that made my stomach turn. And then there were the toys. His action figures lay untouched. His stuffed animals, once his most treasured possessions, were piled in the corner like trash. When Sarah handed him his favorite dinosaur, he stared at it blankly, as if he didn't recognize it. "Don't you want to play, honey?" she asked. Alex tilted his head. "I don't like this anymore." Then there was Max, our golden retriever. Max had adored Alex, following him everywhere, sleeping at the foot of his bed. But now, the dog growled low in his throat whenever Alex entered the room. His fur stood on end, his teeth bared. One night, I woke to a strange sound, a wet, gnawing noise. I followed it to the kitchen. Alex was crouched over Max's food bowl, his back to me. When he turned, his mouth was smeared with something dark, something that looked too much like blood. Sarah's nightmare began with a whisper. "Mommy." She was standing in Alex's room, but it wasn't Alex in the bed. It was a pale, elongated figure, its face smooth and blank. Its fingers stretched too long, twitching against the sheets. "Mommy," it hissed again, its voice warped wrong. Sarah tried to scream, but no sound came out. The thing sat up, its head tilting at an impossible angle. Then, inch by inch, its featureless face began to crack. A jagged slit split down the middle, peeling open like a grotesque mouth. "You know I'm not him." Sarah woke with a gasp, drenched in sweat. Next to me, I slept soundly, but from down the hall, we heard it. A soft, wet giggle, coming from Alex's room. The whispers started a week after Alex's return. At first, I thought I was imagining them. Faint, murmuring voices drifting from his room at night. But then Sarah heard them too. We stood outside his door, listening. The voice wasn't speaking words. Not exactly. It was a jumble of sounds, guttural and wrong, like something trying and failing to mimic human speech. Then, clear as day, "Sarah." My blood turned to ice. Alex had never called her by her first name. The whispering continued, growing louder, more insistent. "Mark." "Sarah." "Let me in." I flung the door open. Alex was sitting upright in bed, his face shadowed, but his lips weren't moving. The whispers were coming from somewhere else, somewhere inside him. The man's name was Carl, a local hunter who had helped search for Alex. He showed up at our door unannounced, his face grim. "Those woods. They're not right," he said. He told us about the legends. Old stories passed down in hushed tones. About things that lived in the forest. Things that could take the shape of lost children. "People around here call them the Hollow Ones," he said. "They mimic. They replace. And they don't give back what they take." I scoffed. "You're saying our son isn't our son?" Carl's expression darkened. "I'm saying if he came back different, you need to ask yourself why." That night, I checked on Alex. He was standing at the window, staring into the woods. When he turned to look at me, his eyes reflected the moonlight like an animal's. "He shouldn't have told you," Alex whispered. Then he smiled. I couldn't unsee it. Alex's eyes, once bright blue, were darker now, almost black. And sometimes when he thought no one was looking, they flickered with something inhuman. I caught him watching me one morning, his gaze unblinking, calculating. "Alex?" I asked, my voice trembling. His head tilted slightly. "Yes, Daddy?" The way he said it made my skin crawl. That night, I dreamt of the faceless thing again. This time, it was wearing Alex's skin, and it was standing at the foot of my bed. The first call came at 3:17 a.m. Sarah fumbled for the phone, her heart pounding. "That's not your son," the voice on the other end whispered. Then the line went dead. The calls kept coming. Always the same voice, always the same words. I insisted it was a prank, but Sarah knew better. Then, one night, the voice changed. It was small, terrified. "Daddy?" My breath caught. It sounded like Alex, the real Alex. "Help me," the voice sobbed. "I'm in the dark." Then, in the background, something growled, and the line went dead. I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. I checked the security cameras, scrolling through the footage from the past week. Nothing unusual. Until I reached the night of Sarah's nightmare. The timestamp read 2:45 a.m. The camera in the hallway showed Alex's door creaking open. But it wasn't Alex who stepped out. It was something else. Something that moved wrong. Too smooth, too fluid. It glided down the hall toward our bedroom and stood there, watching us sleep. For hours. The scratching started after midnight. A slow, deliberate sound, like fingers dragging against wood. I followed it to Alex's room. The closet door was slightly ajar. I reached for it, my hand shaking. "Alex," I called softly. His voice answered from behind me. "Yes, Daddy?" I whirled around. Alex was in bed, his eyes wide, innocent. But the scratching continued. And now it was coming from inside the closet. "I'm still in here, Daddy," a small, broken voice whispered from the darkness. Then the closet door creaked open, and something reached out. I couldn't take it anymore. I armed myself with a flashlight and a knife and marched into the woods. The trees seemed to close in around me, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and something rotting. Then I saw it. a clearing I didn't recognize. In the center stood a gnarled, blackened tree, its branches twisted like grasping hands, and at its base a small, pale figure. It looked like Alex, but its eyes were hollow, its mouth stretched too wide. "Daddy," it rasped. I stumbled back, because beneath the tree, half buried in the dirt, was a small skeletal hand, wearing Alex's favorite dinosaur bracelet. I knew the thing in our house wasn't our son. It had never been. Sarah's hands shook as she dialed the police, but the line was dead. Then the lights went out. A whisper echoed from the hallway. "Daddy." "Mommy." The voice was wrong. Too many tones at once. We backed into the kitchen, our breaths ragged. Then the back door creaked open. And Alex, no, the thing wearing Alex, stepped inside. Its smile split its face too wide. "You should have let me in," it hissed. And then it lunged. The police found the house empty. No signs of struggle. No bodies. Just a single note, scrawled in a child's handwriting. "We're still in here. And if you listen closely on quiet nights, you can still hear them, whispering from the woods, calling for their parents, begging to be let in."